Now, alongside composing and decomposing shapes, we also want to think about partitioning, which is a part of decomposing. So in first grade, students might take shapes like this and divide those shapes into halves or fourths. So here I divided this rectangle into 4 equal parts. Here I divided this circle into 4 equal parts. I could also think about taking this rectangle and dividing it to 2 equal parts, or showing that as 4 equal parts. As we move into second grade, students are going to partition into halves, thirds, and fourths, and they should be able to partition in ways that aren't always exactly equal. So here I divided this circle into 3 equal parts. Here I divided this rectangle into 2 triangles and 2 rectangles. But do notice how here I have 2 equal parts, and here I have 2 equal parts as well. Now, as we move into our standards in second grade, students are expected to take shapes and partition them into rows and columns. So for example here, with my square, I could partition that into rows and columns. So there, how many equal parts do I have altogether? Well, I have 9 squares. Or I took this rectangle and divided it into rows and columns. How many squares do I have altogether? Well, here I have 36 squares. We are now building to start to think about area and array models, but we're still in this idea of where we're just decomposing this rectangle into squares and how many squares could be in this rectangle. Now, some language that might be helpful here is to think about language related to rows and columns. And so here I could describe, well, how many rows does this rectangle have? This rectangle here has 3 rows. This square here has 3 rows. And then how many columns did we create in this rectangle? In this rectangle, we created 12 columns. In this square, we created 3. You can start to see 3 times 12 is 36, or 3 times 3 is 9. This is getting into early multiplicative knowledge, but through this idea of decomposing shapes. So that brings us to activity 4, where I would like you to think about some of the ways that you might engage students in partitioning of shapes.